You are listening to Lovely Talks Heavy. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Lovely Talks Heavy. I am your host, Lovely, and I discuss everything I enjoy with regard to heavy music. So, it's going to be another band binge episode because I wanted to get, the last, okay, if you're new here, hi, welcome. I'm gonna use some language that is going to be a bit familiar to regular listeners for a moment, but I will clue you in because I am a kind host of this humble podcast program. Anyway, so, to all you regulars out there, I was gonna get in another band binge episode. God, I still hate that phrase. I was gonna get another band binge episode in, be like, okay, gonna listen to some bands, not catfish my listeners this time and only do one, despite how much I liked the one. Thank you, Batushka. But I, I will say this: I managed to double my efforts from the last episode. I got two bands. I thought I would have more time, honestly, but hey, congratulations, I played myself. It's all good. But it's just the fact of the matter is work has been kicking my ass, soaking up all of my time. But I promise, once the new year kicks in, you can expect the quality of the content to elevate once more. That sounds so bad. Like, don't worry, it's gonna suck for a bit. I do my best, and I try to have a good a time and make it as good a time for all you as possible. I mean, just sometimes circumstances happen, and I was just only able to listen to two bands to give you my thoughts. So, but regardless, we're gonna be here, we're gonna have a fun time. Another fun thing, I'm not working with a script again. That just shows you how much time I had to put this together. But yeah, anyways, so to the new listeners, now that you kind of probably went through all that a bit confused, I'm gonna clue you in on what I do normally here. So, on a at least a monthly basis, once a month, I go through this massive mountain of bands that I need to check out or have heard about and thought that's interesting. I wonder what that sounds like. Maybe they'll be a new favorite, etc., etc. The classic metal head or music lover struggle. So I go through this massive mountain of bands that I listen to. I listen to okay, let's format this a bit. So I have a few steps in these episodes. I get at least six, normally six bands together for this, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to run through a few criteria. I'm only gonna listen to one album by the band, and this is just chosen at random. I haven't ever really taken recommendations on what album I should listen to. I just kind of go in, just dive into those cold murky waters, see what we got here. I only listened to one album, and I realized that it might not be the best album, to say the least, by the band. Maybe it's the most hated album by the band, that could be a thing. I take into consideration that the album I choose may not be fully representative of the band's sound. While it still may be good, this isn't perhaps the album where they fully realize their sound, or maybe the band just kind of experiments with every sort of kind of sound that they like to get their hands on. So one album isn't really a fair quantification of what their style is, what they like to do, etc., etc. So I consider that, I hope and pray to Powerwolf Jesus that my that the band I choose, they might sound good, but also they might just be shitty as people, and it sucks. And it's you gotta sometimes weigh how much sin is worth it before you're like, okay, time to pull the plug, goodbye. So yeah, Oh, I also get a basic synopsis of, like, the band's, like, biography and what they do, what they're about, sort of thing, just basically from, like, Wikipedia, if it's there. Like, the most baseline, we're just talking most baseline, so I can just get, like, the most general idea, and then just add my thoughts on top of that, basically. If not on Wikipedia, then whatever page it might be on, Bandcamp, or if I manage to find them on Twitter or something like that, I'll get my best idea from there, so, yeah. So we're going to talk about two bands today, everybody, and we're going to have some fun, I think, because I've got a different range of sounds between these two bands. Let's dive right in. Okay, so the first band I listened to I first learned about them on Twitter. Robert Pasbani of Metal Injection went to see this band called Nightclub, and I'll be real with you lads, they're not metal, like, super not metal, they're electro goth, but that intrigued me, so I was like, yeah, let's put them on the list, let's see what they're about, I wanna check out, I need some more, like, actual goth music in my in my library, my playlist, what have you, because, people think I'm goth because of the way I dress, but lads, I really am not. I can't name 5 Susie and the Banshees albums. I haven't listened to more than one House song, probably. I'm fake. I know, I'm a metalhead, so it's like, whatever. I'm not goth, I'm a metalhead, basically. I'm working on outing that goth label to my, metaphorical battle jacket, I think. But for now, my goth status is still waiting to be approved, so, but regardless, so Nightclub, I basically saw on Twitter, and I was like, okay, let's check this out. I listened to the album Requiem for Romance, which came out in 2016. Now, a little bit of background on this band, apparently, what I find most interesting is that they've been doing, like, a lot of soundtracks for, like, movies and TV shows, like Moonbeam City and Nerdland, so I thought that was, like, really cool, and I'll definitely, like, get a look at what they do for those soundtracks, but for now, we're talking about Requiem for Romance, and I picked this album just because I really liked the album art, for the regular listeners, or people who listened to the last episode, at least, who know, who listened to my conversation with MJ Alexander about album art, know that I really like graphic album covers, the stuff that really just pops out, probably kicks your ass upon first look. Okay, it probably doesn't kick your ass, but it's like, but this, like, album cover was just, like, so pink, and had, like, a dagger on it, and I just thought that was, like, so cool. It was, like, so simple. I dug it. I really dug it. So, that's why I picked that one. So Requiem for Romance. I really enjoyed a couple of things. Like, number one, the hooks on these songs. It was, like, I think it's just, like, really, like a lot of these songs, which I think, for electronic music, you need hooks to really keep people engaged, especially for, like, a nightclub, or a dance club situation. Keep people moving and stuff, keep things kinetic, And another thing I really liked is that some of these songs really felt sexy, without, some of them probably weren't all that sexy, but they really felt sexy, Some of my favorite songs off this album, I would have to say, is Freak Like Me, Dangerous Heart, Bad Girl, Pray, and Psycho Super Lover. That last one I really enjoyed because it particularly reminds me of this one other song that I really liked. I mean, it's called Super Psycho Love by an artist called Simon Curtis, who I really enjoy. So, I mean, obviously it's not like the same sort of sound, not the same sort of vibe between the two songs, obviously, but, like, the title of the songs were kind of similar, and that just really stuck out to me. So, Nightclub, I really enjoy, and I'm gonna put more of them inside my ears. Okay, now we're moving from electro goth to hardcore doom. Hell yeah. I have been seeing this band in the periphery of my Twitter feed through like my recommendations, like, hey, you should follow Allfather UK. Oh, I mean, it's just Allfather, the band from the UK. Allfather on Twitter, even though I hadn't really listened to them, they're like, hey, listen, you seem to follow a lot of anti-fascist metal people in some regards, so follow Allfather. And I'm like, okay, maybe. And they actually were also, I believe, on the worldwide organization of metalheads against Nazis 2 compilation that came from Black and Death Records. And I was just like, I found I haven't really gotten to chew through all of the songs yet, because there's 44 fucking songs on this compilation, lads. Okay. But it's been a lot, like, I've been finding myself really enjoying that compilation, so I was like, okay, let's check out Allfather. And I really was like kind of unsure going in, because I mean that's the case with like a lot of bands, you know. But I felt like you can tell I felt a bit more easy about going into a band like Nightclub, because it's electro goth and I tend to like more melody and poppy stuff, you know. But with a band you like don't know shit about, basically, it's like, okay, let's see what they're about. Just kind of hold your horses, brace yourself. Hold your horses, what even is that phrase for this kind of situation? Just brace yourself, you know. Hold on to the saddle, there you go. Hold your horse, I guess. And see where this where this journey takes you. And whew, I was smacked in the face with some killer riffs for days, lads. It was, listening to Allfather was so good. So good. I was listening to this in my room alone, and I was, honest to God, headbanging to myself, which I know as metalheads we tend to do, but this singular metalhead, I don't tend to really headbang too much, because I am sensitive and I get headaches very easily. But yeah, so I should say I listened to the album and All Will Be Desolation. I will say I really enjoyed the album art, which was just like a skull wearing a crown, and that skull was just like in somebody's hand. I really dig that. So I just found there was not a boring moment on this whole record, and I really loved that, you know? Like, they really kept things interesting, which I, you know, like, me in the past would have found it very skeptical with my understanding of Doom before. But, you know, if you mix, like, hardcore in there, clearly they know what the fuck they're doing with these riffs. And I really enjoyed that a lot. And I'm just blown away, and I'm going to definitely listen to more of the Allfather catalog. I will say, like, one of my favorite moments on this record, but my favorite by far, with the fact, with my notes that I'm looking at here now, I didn't take too many, clearly, but the one that sticks out is that the song By Sword, By Famine, By Plague has a transition into the next song, Jackal's Night. And if you're a regular here, you know how much I love transitions. So I noted that transition, and I just wrote in big letters, nut, you know, just nut busted, man. I really loved that. I love transitions so much. Like, you know, if a full record was made of songs that transitioned into each other, I would not complain. You know, I would love that. You know, if there's one out there, somebody please throw that my way. I would love to listen to it. And then I will probably talk about it on this podcast and talk about how much it made me nuts. I'm not going to say that anymore. I really enjoy that, though. So, and I've mentioned it before, honestly, but it is very comforting looking at the Allfather Twitter feed and just being so aggressively anti-racist. And that's always, like, just a weary, but, like, a precarious sort of thing with metal when you go in there like, oh, I really like this band. Hope they're not racist. Oh, fuck, man. Now what? You know? I literally saw like a screenshot once where somebody was like, "Oh, I'm listening to Destroyer 666, hoping they're not racist." Ouch, fam. So yeah, I love Allfather, and I would recommend that you give them a listen too. All right, everybody, that's going to do it for this episode of Lovely Talks Heavy. Wanted to make a quick note of the giveaway that I've been hosting on this podcast. At the time that this episode comes out, the giveaway will be closed. It is closed. And I will be announcing the winner next week. And you're just gonna have to wait another week and just wait in anticipation, see who the fuck won this beautiful prize package. And for those that didn't enter and really wanted a $20 Bandcamp gift card, really wanted 2 album frames, really wanted a Bewitcher CD, and really wanted 2 soaps from Bath Sabbath, the online heavy metal soap shop, hey, you missed your chance this time. Hopefully I'll do another giveaway in the future. Keep your eyes peeled, basically, and just kind of get in there next time. But I will announce the winner on the last episode of the year next week. And we'll see who won. We'll see who wins the thing. It just kind of keep your hands on the saddle, mates. So what was I gonna say? Oh yeah, if you really want these items for yourself, though, or any other like sort of heavy metal cool things, I am losing my brain. It's just stuff for Christmas. Put that stuff on your Christmas wish list, And I have a couple episodes back, the Metalheads Christmas wish list, where I talk about stuff that metalheads want, and you can get some inspiration for that. And maybe if you're not sure what to get to somebody, give to somebody this holiday season. That's a good resource for that, among the other several million metal publications already putting out their definitive guide for gift giving for metalheads and sort of thing. But hey, they're more established publications, I realize that, so yeah. So if you enjoyed this podcast, be sure to follow me on social media on Twitter, Tumblr, Instagram, YouTube, and Mixcloud. I am Lovely Metalhead. One of the last 2 there, Mixcloud or YouTube. Maybe you're listening to it on both at the same time. Who knows? I don't know your capabilities. That's cool. But if you're listening to on one of those 2 platforms, make sure you're subscribed to me for sure. Share the show with a friend and say, hey, listen to this podcast of this person just rambling about heavy metal and how much they really like it for at least 20 minutes a week. I really appreciate the support in any facet. If you really want to extend your support in a monetary sense, I have a Ko-fi page, ko-fi.com/lovelymetalhead. Drop a few dollars in there. Show your support. Say, hey, thanks for the content, and here's a way that I'm showing my appreciation for that, I suppose. And which I would appreciate that greatly. But hey, if you're not able to donate, that's completely fine. I completely understand. Just share the show and say, hey, listen to this person ramble about heavy metal for at least 20 minutes a week. It's all good. If you want to send any feedback and respond to anything I've said in this episode or past episodes, maybe, keep it nice, number 1. You can either engage with me on the social media that I mentioned, Twitter, Tumblr, Instagram, Lovely Metalhead. That's my handle on there. You can also send an email to the show at lthfeedback@protonmail.com. And I'll read your feedback on the show and respond to it on the show. So, hey. But yeah, that's gonna do it. I also want to thank my editor, Tino, as always, for doing an amazing job editing. He really took on a monster last week with my hour-long session of talking about album art with MJ. So I just doing the greatest work, doing the Lord's work. I appreciate that so much, Tino. Thank you so much for that. And as for you listeners out there, thank you for listening once again. Until next week, next Saturday, the next episode of Lovely Talks Heavy, you stay brutal, my friend.